The Live Stream Code and Rating Administration has rated this online event PG. All ages admitted. Please be kind and stay on topic.
Good Stuff Live with Dave Sundstrom.
Four pals just hanging out, nostalgia in the air. Classic shows to celebrate with laughter we all share. We call it a RetroPALooza. It's an hour or two of fun. We're nerding out together and we could probably use some sun. Oh, we're the Retro Pals, living in the past, broadcasting memories that forever last. RetroPALooza, where the old scenes play, laugh until the night turns into day.
There we are. Hey, look at this. No piddling around today in terms of one by one introductions. I think everybody that's here hanging out with us tonight, they know most of us. But gentlemen, it's great to have you here on the live stream again.
Thanks, Dave.
Awesome to be back.
I'm as happy as a shark off the coast of Amity Island in the summertime.
They are pretty happy, aren't they? They're pretty happy little sharks. Plenty of food.
50 years? What? 50? Oh, my.
50 years.
I'm feeling a little...
Yeah. Is that let me ask a question, Barry. I know you talked about this on your show on Saturday, but is that a favorite movie of yours?
It's on the list somewhere. No, seriously, it is. I mean, Jaws for me probably battles for the number one spot of my favorite film of all time with Star Wars. Sometimes it's Star Wars, sometimes it's Jaws, sometimes it's Star Wars. I mean, it depends on how the wind is blowing and how the waves are splashing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a movie that's actually caused trauma for me. Anytime I get out in the ocean or anything like that, I mean, it's enjoyable, suspenseful, masterfully directed film by Spielberg, wonderfully acted by the cast, right? But I think that's, it planted the seeds of fear, even though rationally I know that there's probably nothing to be afraid of, but it planted the seeds.
It did for millions of people. And my aunt, who was a lot older than me growing up, she goes, Jaws did for the ocean and swimming what Psycho did for showers. I mean, movies affect people. They really do. And Jaws certainly did.
I live at Great White Central, literally.
You do, yeah.
I do. I mean, they call it the Great White Nursery. And it's about a mile away from here, up the beach, where it's very calm. It's a very calm area between the cliffside and the beach. So it's almost like a lake. And it has become the number one breeding ground for great white sharks.
Yeah.
And you literally see it on documentaries about great whites, my hometown. So yeah, we swim with the sharks here.
We have a spot out here on Cape Cod from Nantucket up past Monomoy Island and into Chatham, the National Seashore. They call it Shark Alley because they love that strip there because where the seals are. Yep. So, yeah, we get the great whites here, too. And it's funny because right before the 50th anniversary, right off the coast of Massachusetts, they spotted a 25-foot shark. It was a basking shark, but you saw the fin and, you go out to the tail and then double it. And you're like, oh, my God, that's actually at least 25 feet.
Baskings are usually bigger than great whites. They just have big mouths that just eat with not much teeth. So it's very weird. People get scared of those, too. We have sharks in Atlanta, too, not the kind that you guys are familiar with, but they're down the different kinds of alley in downtown Atlanta, and they're different sharks. So, yeah. Just stay away from them.
Sharks.
Hard sharks.
Land sharks.
But enough about Alan Sanders. Alan Sanders? Wait, no.
Alan's a barracuda.
Oh.
Didn't Hart write the song about him?
Yes, it did.
It did indeed. Yep.
He was just a baby then.
All right. Well, that's a great way to kick off the live stream. It's hard to believe that Jaws is 50 years old when, what are we in our 30s right now? And we saw it when we were kids. It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nutty. Yeah.
That does date us, doesn't it? And it was funny, Barry, when you said that Jaws and Star Wars, the link there, and there was a link there for me too, and that was learning from Jaws how to stand in line in front of a movie theater for 3 hours. Which is of course what most of us did for Star Wars.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It created a patience culture.
And I would argue that Jaws was one of the first films. Then Star Wars came just a mere 2 years later.
Right.
And Spielberg, and we know Spielberg and Lucas were friends, but Jaws was the first movie to make me stand up and notice and take notice of filmmaking and directing, and who did the music, and who was the editor, and who was the director, and who the stars were, and why did they put the stars' names in certain orders up on the poster and stuff. It taught me. It probably sparked. I loved movies before then, but it sparked my technical love of how movies were made. That's where it all started with me. Was Jaws for the first time.
I can see that.
For me, anyway.
Oh, hi everybody! Everybody's saying hi to us, guys. You see in those comments?
We'll say hi to him. We'll say hi to him in just a minute. But we jumped into the Jaws conversation. I want to touch on one more thing that you mentioned, Barry, and I think it's people just. They don't know what they're missing nowadays. And that's the standing in line to go see a movie effect.
Yes.
With it playing on 7 or 8 different screens, sometimes in a multiplex, these summer blockbusters, you don't wait in line anymore. And there was something, I just remember standing in line for both Batman and then 3 years later, Batman Returns. And the energy was so palpable as we waited for a couple of hours to get into the theater, and it just created this. It made the movie even more special when you finally got to see it.
You hit on something, because the energy was there. You were out there in line with other people that wanted to see it, so you're of a like mind of everyone else. Sometimes you made friends in line, at least for that in the evening, before you went in, you talked to people, you're exchanging stories. And I don't know how you guys did it, but when the theaters I would go to, you'd walk through, and as you were in line, you would inch closer and closer to get through, to get your ticket torn and get in there. But you had posters to look at of upcoming movies on the wall, and some theaters still do it. Then you had maybe giant cardboard stand-ups of some films and displays, depending on the size of the theater you in. But that's kind of gone now, Dave. You hit on it, because now most theaters, I don't know about where you guys are, but most theaters here in the Atlanta area, in the suburbs, you pre-buy your tickets and you already have your seat. You walk in, you don't have to wait in line at all. Your seat's waiting for you. It's convenient, but it just made it easy for the people who are late to the theater all the time. So like they still walk in.
Well, streaming movies is convenient too, but there's something about that physical media, going out and buying the movie and bringing it home and taking it out of the package and popping it into that VCR. That there was an event there that is lost when you just scroll down and say, "Yeah, I guess I'll check this out tonight."
I would save my ticket stubs.
It wasn't a movie; it was an event. It was a cultural event that everybody wanted to do, rather than just it's a movie with certain fans. It was almost you had a rite of passage. You had to go see the Jaws movie. I mean, everybody simply had to do that.
Happy 50th anniversary for sure.
Star Wars is very much the same, but God, I don't know what's been out since those guys did those. That's been like that, where it was something more than a movie, something that you had to do, or you were left out in the cold. You weren't part of the conversation. And that's how big of an event those movies were,
It was an event.
Yeah.
It was. In the 40s and 50s, people, you put on suits to go to the theater. They really did. They
Right.
Yes. You could smoke.
Right. Yeah.
We could smoke.
Right.
I mean, smoke.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. We have got channel member Tracy Roth Myers here. Tracy, so good to have you with us. Ken Wilkinson's hanging out. Melina Long is with us. Channel member Angela McArdle, good evening to you, Angela. Channel member Superplex. Nope, not that one. Try this one. There we go. Happy Monday to you, Tracy. Ward Arcade is here with us. Thank you, Ward. And indeed, welcome to one and all. Rachel in the 208 says, I really was looking forward to this today. Well, as are we. Let's see. Oh, look at this. Channel member Eric McGill, also known as the Unapologetic Geek. Snark and Sass is here. Raja 1938. Cindy D is here with us. And looks like Cindy D might be handling moderator duties over on your live stream, which is a good reminder, folks. If you want to watch this live stream, you can not only watch it on my channel, but if you want to support Thrash, you can head on over to his channel and watch it there.
Do it.
Sakina McMurrin, welcome. Good to have you with us. Let's see. Dan, the breaking news man, welcome.
Dan, oh my God. Hey, Dan, welcome back.
It's Dan. Yep. And that's that's through Thrash's channel as well. So a lot of these folks are coming in through Thrash's channel. Our buddy Tom McCluskey, the Hungry Jerk, coming through Thrash's channel. Snark and Sass. Snarky, come on. You haven't seen Jaws? That's your homework. That is your
only been
homework.
up 50 years.
Yeah. It's like, it's time.
That must be the sass part.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not
Adrian
snarky.
James is here. Welcome, Adrian. Burton Luppingwell Jr.'s here. Let's see. We're almost caught up, guys. We're almost caught up. Let's see. Crominion is here, coming through Thrash's channel. Hey, you've got some folks hanging out over on your channel tonight, Bob.
Popular guy. He's popular.
Yeah, he is a popular guy. Let's see. Who
My
else is here.
public.
Willie Bowen stood in line for Aquaman. That's interesting because Aquaman came out in the era of the multiplex.
Yeah.
But I can see I stood in line for what was the first of the Star Wars sequels? The
Phantom Menace.
No. I stood in line for that, but I'm talking about the more recent Disney ones. The first one with Harrison Ford. What?
Come on, Barry. Come on, Barry. You know that one.
The
You
Force
must know
Awakens,
that.
correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
my
The
boy.
J.J. Abrams directed film, although the last one was directed by Abrams too, although that one felt more slapped together. Let's see. Kevin Scott 76 is here. Hello again. Hello. Quoting Lionel Richie there.
The Farce Awakens, Mike.
The Farce Awakens. There you go. Channel member John Collins. Pat taking a sip from his James Doohan
That's right.
glass
Still a nerd.
there.
Still a nerd. I love it.
Still a nerd. Custom God, welcome. Mike Silva coming over from Thrash's channel. Welcome. Let's see. I think we're almost done with the list. Nostalgic Pod Blast, Chance, welcome.
Fancy.
Auburn Kim, welcome.
Auburn
And-
Kim from my home state. Yay.
Yeah. We are caught up. So we've said hello to everybody. Welcome to the live stream tonight. By the way, I didn't do my typical introduction. My name's Dave Sundstrom, and this is the Good Stuff Live. If you enjoy talking about music, movies, mostly TV on this channel, well, you've come to the right place. With me tonight, I have three brothers from other mothers. I've got Pat McCormick, Barry King, and Thrash Pondo Pons hanging out with me tonight. We talked about having a topic, didn't we, fellers? And then we just landed on we're just gonna go.
The topic was no topic.
Yeah.
Well,
Bring your own topic.
Us
It's like
without
you-
a script. That's pretty dangerous.
I think you mentioned in a text though, Dave, but we were going to touch on Loretta Swit.
Yes, indeed. As a matter of fact, what I thought we've got four sections. We're gonna do
Five
we'll
seconds.
talk about celebrity deaths. We'll talk about summer movies. We'll talk about what TV shows we're watching, and then we'll give the folks that are out there on the live stream an opportunity to ask us questions. So that's where we're at tonight. And I was hoping that we would. Let me go ahead and put this on the screen. And folks, you can share the celebrity death that hit you the hardest here in the chat. But I'm going to ask my friends here, my RetroPALooza brothers, if they'd like to share. We've had a lot lately, and you don't have to limit it to one. But Pat, I know you were friends with Loretta Swit, and you've conversed with her on multiple occasions and spent time with her. I would love to kick off this segment with you sharing your thoughts about Loretta, and if there's others that feel free to do that as well.
Well, I'd be happy to. And to be honest, we weren't close friends. We were acquainted, and she gave me hours of her time to talk to her on my podcast. And I told the story on BK on the Air actually the week after she passed as an example of what an incredibly gracious person she was. And that was me. I'm on the West Coast, as you can see. And when I got the opportunity to interview her, it was my first interview. So I went in large, and I'm telling you, the nerves were, I was scared. Just because, come on, man, it's hot lips. It was just, I couldn't believe it. I was going to get a chance to literally talk to a legend of classic television. And so the interview time was for, oh God, what was it? I'm going to get my times right here. So 3 hours ahead, right? So the interview time was for noon, and it's 10 a.m. here, or it's 9:30, 10. And I get a call from her publicist asking me if I'm all right. Are you all right? I said, yeah, matter of fact, a little nervous, but yeah, I'm ready. He said, well, I'm glad you're ready because Loretta's been waiting for your call for the last 45 minutes. And it was only then that I realized that she was in New York. And, you know, I'm going to say this. I think she may be the only celebrity out of this 50 that I'd interviewed that was in New York or that wasn't in LA. And so I just took it. I didn't look close enough at this is the time, maybe pay attention that it's East Coast time. Anyway, he said, okay, well, I got to get a hold of her. He reaches out and gets back to me and she said, it's okay. It happens. She'd still love to talk to you once she gets back from walking her dogs. And so I called her and I was just, oh my God, I'm so sorry. She went, no, don't worry about it. We're all human. We're all in this together. And hey, we just got to show support and love. And so I'm happy to talk to you. And that's my first experience with her. And I think it went really well because when I asked to interview her again, she instantly responded with, absolutely, I'll talk to Pat again, no problem.
Yeah.
And what she had to say was equally, it was so important because she really was, her work with animals and with the military and the people that, with, the post-trauma, putting them together with animals, saving animals. I mean, it was all about animals with her. And the works that she did was just phenomenal with our soldiers. And so she was all about philanthropy. She was all about helping people. And so I'm in the backyard trimming my hedge. And my wife comes on and goes, Pat, Loretta Swit died. And I started crying. I mean, it hit me only because I knew. I mean, it's just like, all right, well, I've met her, I talked to her a couple times, and that's pretty cool. But I got to know her and find out where her heart was so deep. I mean, Pat, come on, her foundation was called Sweetheart. So it was perfect because she was a sweetheart. And so that hit me. That one hit me. Long-winded, guys, sorry, but I wanted to pay homage to her. And so
yeah,
it was Loretta.
Indeed. And I really, folks, if you haven't listened to Pat's conversations with Loretta Swit, there's no better way to celebrate her life and her accomplishments than to go back and to listen to those conversations, because Pat brings out the best in people. And it was I got to say, it was probably pretty darn easy with Loretta because she's one of a kind.
Some aren't that easy.
Yeah.
Some are like, boy, this person's making me work for it. But quite frankly, the majority, 99% of these celebrities have all been the most gracious people I'd ever had the joy to talk to. I mean, Kent McCord, that guy just blew my mind how friendly he was. And he wasn't really big on interviews. And it was kind of a fluke that I got him. So yeah, they're all there on the channel. Plug.
Folks, open up the mic to Bob, Barry. Any thoughts about Loretta or anyone else that's recently passed that you'd like to mention here?
Well, I was a MASH fan from when I was a little kid. I kind of grew up with that show, and she was one of the major players and possibly the most evolved character. You remember in the first couple of seasons, she was effectively the villain, but she became an integral part of the cast and a team player and one of the strongest characters on the show, arguably more so than Hawkeye. It's a photo finish, but I mean, just her evolution as a character was just absolutely amazing. And I noticed other people bring up she was in the Muppet Show. She certainly was. She was in one of my favorite made-for-TV horror movies, Race with the Devil. She was absolutely amazing in that. And it's funny because it's sort of one of those I don't want to say schlocky, but it was more like it was tongue in cheek, playing on the whole anti-Satanist theme in the 70s. But she was great. Anything she did, she gave her all. And I think she was just one of the people I always thought she'd be around.
Yeah.
And when I woke up one day and found she wasn't, it left an impression. It was up there with when Farrah died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had called her publicist the night before she died just to check up on him because he lost his house in the LA fires. And so he's been going through hell. And she just wanted to make sure he was okay. So Harlan Bowl is his name. He's a great guy, great friend.
So unexpected.
That's the kind of person she was, It was just terrible.
It was so unexpected. No one, and that happens sometimes, but no one thought she was going to be the next one to go, but she was.
Didn't suffer though. She didn't decline, which is really, you got to look at it that way. That's a blessing. She didn't slowly, it was just, okay, bye.
MASH was interesting because it wasn't two different shows, but it kind of was because it went from one way to another as it progressed. You either I'm sure everyone loves MASH, and I do too, but some people come down on the camp of the early seasons with Frank and Colonel Blake and the way Hot Lips was then, and then the later seasons it changed with Winchester and a lot of things were different. I came down on the side of the earlier episodes of MASH. I think they're a little funnier, a little more slapstick. I tend to lean that way anyway. Not that the later episodes aren't good. I just love the show earlier in its incarnation. Loretta was interesting. I didn't know much about her work other than mostly MASH, the guest spot on the Love Boat that she did, the pilot for Cagney and Lacey that she did, and Thrash mentioned it. One of the best Muppet Show episodes that they did when she sings Carole King's "I Feel the Earth Move Under My Feet" and the giant is messing around with her building and about to step on her. It was one of the best music productions on there when she appeared on the Muppet Show, and it was great. So I will MASH though will be her crowning glory. That's what she'll be known for, and that's not such a bad thing because it was such a legendary role and such a great TV show. In its own right. The biggest, if you're talking about deaths that hit you the worst this year, like for 2024, I think Gene Hackman hit me harder than anybody else. And I knew he was getting older. And I think more of the circumstances of his death is what made me feel bad more than anything else. And his wife as well. And I think a dog that they had.
Very tragic.
But when I see clips, and it makes me feel sad because I'm sitting there because he was probably in my top 5 favorite actors of all time, not to mention, Lex Luthor and Superman and all the other great roles that he did. Seeing the clips that they play from his Academy Award appearances and some celebrity things, I just sit there and I go, man, he has no idea what's going to happen in just a few years to him. It's going to be so sad because no one could know what's going to happen. And I still think everyone's fascinated morbidly about it. And it's in the news still to this day when something new comes out about it. But yeah, Gene Hackman this year, as far as a celebrity death, affected me the most. And I'll have to throw in Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys as well. I mean, talk about a group and an individual, a musical genius that you can't deny his musical genius and the way he would do things and produce things and write things and sing and the harmonies that he did. So there's two for 2024 that really hit me hard.
24, 25. Who's counting?
Yeah, 25. Sorry, 25. Sorry.
Somebody mentioned George Wendt here, right? And
Yeah.
that's obviously a biggie too. You know, he was Norm. You know, like you said, Dave, they're starting to pass. It's sad, but
We feel we know them. We don't know them personally,
Yeah.
but you think you do because you've grown up with a lot of them and,
Right.
and you feel like they're part of your lives.
yeah,
Absolutely. They've impacted our lives, right?
Oh, yeah.
Whether we know them personally or not, they've all had their place. And you mentioned Brian. I mean, there's not a week goes by that I don't listen to something that he didn't have a hand in creating. And just a truly talented man who, you know, his life has been a series of ups and downs since fame came his way. And he's always someone I rooted for, but I knew, unlike Loretta, I knew that one didn't surprise me at all when we got the news that one little Loretta Swit tidbit before we move on. You mentioned, a couple of you mentioned the Muppet Show, right? But her influence on the Muppet Show, we saw every week in that Jim Henson has admitted that Miss Piggy was directly inspired by a favorite actress of his, Loretta Swit.
Wow.
I did not know that.
I did not know that. See, that's why I'm your friend, Dave. I learned stuff.
All right, gentlemen, that's been a great segment. Did you guys notice anything else in the chat that was mentioned in terms of anyone else that we should?
Norm Macdonald. I have
Who?
someone mentioned Norm Macdonald. That was a heavy casualty.
Oh yeah. Now Norm's been gone for a year or two, right?
Couple years, isn't it?
Couple years, but it really hurt when he passed. I saw his last special, and you knew he wasn't doing good. He looked very in poor health.
Loaded. Yeah.
But then exactly. But then when he passed on, I was still unprepared for it. And there's something about when funny men die. People mentioned Robin Williams, which is years ago. But when funny men die, it really takes the Mickey out of you. You know what I'm saying? We lost Dave.
Yeah.
That's chilling.
Wow.
Wow, that's great. So now it's our show.
It's the Thrash Pondo and Friends show.
That was
I'm
the
taking
worst.
command.
That was the worst time to use those words that we lost Dave that I think I've ever heard in my life. It's like, what? We lost him? No.
It's like a Cheech and Chong album. Dave ain't here, man.
Dave's not here.
He's not here, man.
Wow. And he's hosting. What's going on here? Oh my goodness.
Well, I say we take over, and let's see. So Barry, tell us a little bit about BK on the. He's back. Never mind.
My coup failed.
I was never far away, fellers. Never far away.
We thought we had to add you to the list of celebrities that scared us for a minute. I'm sorry.
I'm going to do a Thrash Pondo here.
Yeah.
The end of Police Squad.
That's right. Speaking of Police Squad, we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about upcoming movies that I can't wait to see. We've got a super chat from John Collins. He says, again, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for entertaining us for about an hour. Exactly, for about an hour. Pat, your only responsibility, this is your only responsibility, Pat, is to be humorous. That's it. Okay?
Great.
We don't want pathos. We don't want anything else but humor.
Great, then.
Oh, and
Athos, Aramis.
As I sit here in the stable, sad and grieving, My horse and I just can't believe you're leaving. Is there nothing more that we can do or say? My horse and I regret you're going away. Well, I was fine till yesterday when I took old Paint some hay. And I stood and stared and I couldn't quite believe it. Well, I thought that he had died, but he just laid down and cried, 'cause the horse you rode away on was his mare. When horses get divorces, well, I guess they feel the same. I know I'll miss her long dark hair. I guess he'll miss her mane until the day when she comes back. I'll sit and wait. But if you don't come back for me, come back for Paint. Thank you.
Look at that.
Woo.
John Collins, that's your bonus there. In addition to humor, you get the musical humorous interlude.
So nice
nicely
Allison
done,
guitar.
Was the horse she rode with the horse she rode off on? Was that Wildfire?
Yeah. They went, whoa, yeah, that was it.
I don't have a lighter, but
Boy, there just happened to be a guitar sitting there. And I was like, hey, I haven't played that thing in about 6 years. Sounds like it.
Well, nicely done.
Wow.
Nicely done. Let me find a little something to say thank you to Pat or to John for that super chat.
While
That
you
was
do
very
that, I'll look for
kind
my
of you,
accordion.
John.
I got an accordion in
go.
here somewhere.
I have created the ultimate weapon to defeat Austin Powers. Bring in the fanboys!
Thanks for your support, John Collins. Always wonderful. Really appreciate it. All right, gentlemen. So that was a big summer blockbuster of I don't know how many decades ago. One of my favorites. But let's talk about this. What summer movie or movies are you most looking forward to? And Bob, why don't we start with you?
Well, you hit the nail on the head, I must say. When I heard they were doing a reimagination of Police Squad, I went, mm-hmm. And then I heard Liam Neeson was doing it. And then I caught the trailer. And I gotta tell you, it looks amazing. He took a page from Leslie Nielsen. He's playing it totally perfectly straight, which you have to when you do drumming. And he's actually very, very, very funny. And I think the great thing about it is people forget before Liam Neeson became known as one of the best comic actors of all time, he was actually this sort of tough leading man type. And same with Liam Neeson. So I am so optimistic, and I haven't had a lot of faith in comedies for the last couple of years. But this one, I think, may knock it out of the park. I'm let's just say, cautiously optimistic, plus a little.
What do you guys think? Naked Gun, is it going to fly or is it going to sink?
I think it has a 50-50 chance of doing either one. I mean, seriously. And I'm looking forward to it as well, because I think that the trailer is what sold me. I can say, I don't even have to say what I thought was going to happen, because Thrash said it. That's exactly the same thing I thought. I'm like, Naked Gun with Liam Neeson? That's so odd. Then I started thinking, wait a minute, he's serious. Leslie Nielsen was serious. Everything Thrash says is true about that. I'm looking forward to it, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Has he ever done comedy? Has he? Well, I can't think of. It's always been the tough guy. I'll find you. You know, that guy.
Going all the way back to Excalibur.
Right.
He's always been the brooding tough guy.
And Mutiny on the Bounty, he was in with Mel Gibson. That was great.
Yes,
but
yes, he was.
That's the thing. That's what could make it great. You know, they put him in a new set of shoes.
Yeah.
He will find you.
Yeah.
In those shoes.
Had I been taking a drink of something like Diet Coke or coffee or whatever when I watched the trailer at the end, when O.J. Simpson, Nuremberg's son, looked up at his photo in this trailer and went, "Yeah," I would have done a spit take all over my computer screen. Right. That was hilarious. They had me right there. That was funny.
Yeah. I'm really hopeful. I loved the Naked Gun movies, and but I loved the Police Squad TV show that came before it. Its predecessor. I thought it was hilarious, and you mentioned the endings where they would do the free
right.
Just ingenious.
The Zucker brothers on television, and no one got it on television. It went away for a little while and came back as motion pictures and just blew everybody away. I don't know why it couldn't survive on television. It's so weird sometimes how that happens.
I was devastated when they canceled it. I was so bummed out.
Yeah.
1982. And
it's
not the movie I'm looking most forward to this summer, but they're doing one again. It'll be another incarnation, another version of this movie that's been done before. I'm a big superhero fan. For me, I'm not tired of the superhero films just yet. I'm tired of a few of them that came out in the past couple of years, but they didn't do as well as they thought. But James Gunn is at the helm of Superman now. That's the one that since I first heard about it and saw the first trailer, I was hooked. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite, DC comic superhero of all time. He's the do-goody. Him and Captain America are the exact twins on Marvel and DC side. I'm always for the good guy. I love the good guys the best. And I've loved everything that I've seen about this. And I think it's in the capable hands of a great director and a great writer. He's coming over from off of his success with the Guardians of the Galaxy and has recast it, redone everything. And it's going to be about as far from the Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill movies as you can get, because it was returning to a little more fun, a little more comic book with some seriousness thrown in. So if Superman is bad, I told the guys at the radio station, is if it comes out and it bombs and it stinks, someone is going to have to talk me off the roof of the radio station, because I'll be on the roof and they can make a news story about it and cover it. So they'll just have to talk me down. But that's the one I'm looking most forward to. Superman.
Yeah, me too. I don't know. They had me at Crypto. That's really where they had me. That trailer, that first trailer where Superman is injured and Crypto just wants to play with him. It hit me like that. This is going to be, it's going to feel very different than what we've seen with Superman for the past couple of decades. Even the Brandon Routh stuff where they tried to tack on to the Donner movies, the original two Donner movies, or the first Donner movie. This is different than that. Even it's comic booky, but in a way that's very respectful to the material and not making light or fun of it.
And when people will complain and go, well, that looks a little too comic booky for me, I'm like, Superman was a comic book, right? It was one. So I just want to remind them of that. Yeah, sometimes.
And you know what? Of course, I'm the third one that says Superman. And I got a whole different kind of a reason for it, which is really cool. For Father's Day, my son told me, Dad, I'm taking you to this new place, this new theater in the city close to us that serves food and drinks during the movie. And I'm taking you to see Superman. It's you and me, Dad. And I was like,
Wow.
Perfect. So I'm really looking forward to that. Just to be with my son too. As a father and son thing, it's like, of course, the women aren't going. They're not.
They're going to miss out. They're going to miss out. I have a feeling they're going to miss
problem with it either. It's like, you boys have fun. We will.
Mrs. Thresh actually wants to see it. In fact, she's the one who bounced it off me. I'm like, of course I'll go see Superman. But she thought it looked great, but from the trailer.
Yeah.
Speaking of Father's Day movies, my youngest son, Evan, took me on Father's Day to go see Karate Kid Legends. And it wasn't one that I was actually all that excited to see. I know Crazy Joe was in the chat a little while back, and he mentioned that he really enjoyed it, but I'd seen enough reviews to know that not everybody did. But Pat, you hit the nail on the head. You went and saw it with, I went and saw it with my son. You're going to go see Superman with your son. Even though you're in a darkened theater, and even though the conversation stops once the trailers begin, there's something special about seeing a really great movie, or in the case of Karate Kid Legends, just an okay movie with someone you love, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to see Superman with my son because I don't have one. But if I find out I have a son, someone tells me between now and then, I'll go with him to see it. So it's possible.
Why not? Yeah.
Just call WBHF radio and ask for Barry. Yeah. Hello, Dad.
Screen that call.
What any other movies? I mean, so we're all looking forward to Superman. What
Naked
else?
Gun. They're asking Naked Gun. Yeah. It's not the theater, but I will mention one right quick. Netflix is coming out with a movie. Another version of Frankenstein is coming out, and I'm looking forward to that. I saw the trailer for that, and I'm really excited because it's I keep
Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that's the director, and Oscar Isaacs is Victor Frankenstein in this, and it looks incredible. It looks. I loved Kenneth Branagh's Frankenstein. I thought it was great, but I've always loved that story too. So that's one that's going to be streaming that I'm looking forward to as well. And as far as Jurassic World, what is it? Rebirth. Yeah. Every time I saw that trailer, I don't know about you guys, but when I saw that trailer, I said to myself, I've seen every scene in another movie. There's nothing new here at all, except Scarlett Johansson running around in a tank top. That's the only thing that's different. So I could take it or leave it. I might see it, but again, it's a summer movie though.
Let's see it for that.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe.
Well, based on this conversation, Superman's going to be the biggie. Superman's going to be the biggie.
I think so.
And Dave, when you saw that trailer, tell me if I'm wrong here, but Superman was injured, and didn't he call for Krypton?
Yes, he whistled. Yes,
to save him. And he came and grabbed his cape, and the next scene you see is him being drugged at light speed. And that's like, oh, I'm going to that. That's awesome.
Yeah, name them off. New Fantastic Four coming out from Marvel. You've got a new Predator movie coming out called Predator Badlands. You've got, there's a lot of. I forgot. The Running Man is being remade and coming out later this year. The Running Man, the Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's a remake with I can't remember the actor. Maybe one of you guys do. He was in Twister. He was the cocky guy in Twisters. Yeah, and Top Gun.
Yeah,
and, he plays.
Can't remember his name.
But that's the guy. Yeah.
John Collins just asked if the celebrity interviews are paid. In other words, do they pay me? No. Do I pay them? No. There's the answer to that. It's promotion is what it is. They're out promoting something usually. So that's how I get those. And no, never had to pay for one. Thank you very much. My wife wouldn't let me.
SWAT Cats just mentioned Spaceballs 2, but that's a couple of years away. I think Mel Brooks is going to be like 100 years old when that movie is actually.
I don't know about Spaceballs 2. When he did History of the World Part 2, and I finally watched it, I'm like, I don't know if Mel is able to. I just don't think sometimes you can go back and bring the lightning in the bottle again. He can try, but it's all right. And Spaceballs wasn't my favorite Mel Brooks movie anyway, even though it was a space movie. It was funny, but he started turning his movies into Zucker Brother movies. He tried to emulate the Zucker Brothers, and I'm like, that doesn't work. Do your comedy, Mel.
Exactly.
So
Young Frankenstein will always be my favorite Mel Brooks movie.
Hands
What in
down. Hands down.
And what in the wide world of sports is going on here, right?
Close second.
Yeah.
Close second. And I love the
Right.
producers too. I was so bummed out when I heard they got rid of LSD when he did the reboot. I'm like, LSD was my favorite character out here of LSD. So what do I know?
That's a whole other subject, Bob.
Tim.
Yes.
Back in my days of experimentation. Oh.
One more. You mentioned Running Man. So that was written by Stephen King under a pseudonym, Bachman, right? Richard Bachman.
Bachman.
Another Bachman novella is coming to the big screen that I'm really looking forward to. I read The Running Man, but I think the first Bachman story I ever read was something called The Long Walk. I don't know if you've ever read that, but it's going to be fantastic. It's very much in the vein of the Hunger Games kind of thing, where lots of people enter a competition and only one person will exit the competition.
I did read that one. It was ringing a bell, but yeah, I did read that one.
I believe I may have heard in the back of my head that Mark Hamill may be associated with that one. He may be the bad guy in that. So really looking forward to it. I don't know if it's a 2025 release. It might be 2026.
Well, summer movies, you can all blame Jaws. It was the first one. So we didn't even know what the phrase summer movie meant before Jaws came out, and it really started the whole thing. But movie theaters didn't want to bring their movies out in the summer before Jaws because they're like, oh, everyone's booked on vacation. No one wants to go to a movie in the summertime. And then they found out, okay, well, maybe they do.
Right. All right, fellers. Someone mentions a streaming movie. That was Barry with the Frankenstein. But let's move on to next topic. What TV shows are you watching right now? And I'll start. Let me put that back on the screen for just a second. I'll start because I just finally finished after trying to watch this darn thing on three separate occasions and getting stalled at episode 4 of the first season twice. I finally made it through Andor. And I've got to say, it was worth the effort to kind of just power through a couple of slow episodes in season 1 where I just felt like, take it or leave it, because the ending of season 1 was phenomenal. But season 2 for me, particularly just with the world right now and everything going on in the world right now, was mind-blowing and just the best Star Wars I've seen since the original trilogy.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved Rogue One a lot, so I should have known that I was going to like it, and I should have just powered through the first time. But it is phenomenal, and the way that it ties into not only Rogue One, but then A New Hope is just really wonderful. And there's just so many parallels with what's going on in the world right now. It's surprising that this movie, or that season 2 was filmed a couple of years ago. Just craziness. But anyway, Andor's highly recommended from me on Disney Plus. Skeleton Crew, if you like fun Star Wars. The Andor's more the heavy thinking Star Wars. But, that's the great thing about Star Wars. There's a place for all types of different versions of Star Wars in that universe. Yeah. What are you guys watching, fellers?
Dave, you got to be more specific.
Let's start with Pat. Why don't you go first, Pat?
Okay. I've been watching a lot of
a chest show.
Yes, a lot of dancing. No, look, it's no secret. I'm just a major sports fan. Most of my time that I spend on television is either watching the Giants or in this last year, who are just incredible, but the Golden State Warriors. And it's just, I must say, I'm a Bay Area guy, obviously, and the Bay Area sports is the best. And so there's a lot of television entertainment with actual live sports. And it's just become something of an obsession of mine because it's in real time. And, if we didn't have great teams, it wouldn't be such a big deal, but it's real time, and their playing is incredible. These players are getting better and better, like they're evolving. And so there's just this most incredible way of watching these kids, who of course are making millions and millions of dollars, but still it's fun to watch. So really, that's where I gravitate towards when it comes to television shows. It's usually got to be something that both my wife and I want to watch, because I don't like watching them alone. And so the last one we got really hooked on was The Fabulous Gemstones, which is an HBO show with John Goodman. It's raunchy. Yeah. But it is so funny. I mean, we laughed out loud so often during that show, and we still haven't finished it. We accidentally canceled our HBO subscription, so that's got to be remedied. But you guys want to see it really funny, but be prepared. It's that show. That show's that's my favorite right now. So there you go. Go Giants.
I always think, Pat, when I'm a huge Tubes fan, and you show me that shirt, and I just think of a song that I don't know if it was ever released on an album, but they play live all the time, called Sports Fans.
Right.
And it just the song captures everything you just said about Bay Area sports. And fun song, folks. If you can, I'm sure you can find a bootleg version of it on YouTube or somewhere. Check out Sports Fans, and you'll understand the pride that Mr. McCormack and B. Waybill and the rest of the Tubes had for those Bay Area sports teams.
They were a San Francisco band, and one of the best live acts you could ever witness. Their show was Broadway. They were a Broadway rock band and put on just the most outrageous, amazing. Got to open for them twice, as a matter of fact. Fantastic. Love the Tubes.
Would have loved it. Now, that would have been a treat for me. Not only seeing the Tubes, but to see Pat McCormack live. That would have been a treat. But
we just did a few minutes ago.
That's right.
Very different version of what that was, I might add, too. So, well,
it's the highlight of the live stream so far, taking nothing away from any of the conversation. That right there, I'm gonna separate that out.
Oh no!
Release it on MP3. Who knows? It'll be on Spotify tomorrow.
If you great, Dave. If you accidentally lose it, I wouldn't really be that crushed.
Well, I was thinking about trying to outdo him here and drop my pants and fire a rocket, but I'm not going to do that. So we'll just move on. Let him.
I got you on full screen right now, Barry.
All right,
Here we go.
Pick it up.
What are you watching right now, Barry?
That's a hard question to answer because I'm still delving into older television shows. I'm delving into shows that I did not get to see growing up. Contrary to popular belief, I did not see every show growing up, because back in the old days, when you're watching one show on one network, you're not watching something that's airing somewhere else. So you just couldn't do it back then. You couldn't get on-demand television like we do now. Kiddies, I don't know whether you know that or not, but that's not how we watched TV back in the 70s and the 80s. I'm currently watching and just finished Little House on the Prairie. I never got to see it as a kid. I watched The Waltons and some other period shows, but I didn't get to see Little House for some reason. I know they're based on the book by Laura Ingalls Wilder, but after watching that entire show that I just finished, I didn't binge it. I watched it over the period of about a year and a half, just watching episodes. Thank you, Pluto TV, for that. What a fantastic show that was. And it's timely because Netflix is just about to reboot it very soon. Yeah. They're going to adapt some of those books and stories again. So let's hope they do a good job. So I just got through watching Little House. I've also watched there's one from 2023 called The Fall of the House of Usher that came out. It's kind of a weird show that's got several Poe books adapted within it. And it's got, Bruce Greenwood is in it, and the guy from Alias and the guy that played in Captain America, Carl Lumley, I think is the actor's name. He is in it as well. What a great thriller. If you haven't seen The Fall of the House of Usher, it's a fantastic, thrilling series to watch. And my wife, Pat, mentioned we're married too, so we don't like watching things by ourselves. Sometimes we'll watch things together as much as we can as a couple. I may not like what she's watching. I only halfway watch it if I don't like it, but I am in there watching it. But She's currently watching a show starring Jamie Alexander from a few years back where she has tattoos all over her body. I think it's called The Blind Spot. It's a thriller kind of along the lines of Alias with Jennifer Garner or something like it's a governmental FBI. They're trying to decipher the tattoos on her body that has something to do with world events and stuff. And it's a thriller. And it's interesting. If you don't know who I'm talking about, it's Jamie Alexander. She played in Thor. She was the female lady on, what was her name in Thor? She was from Asgard as well. Sif, was her name Sif? Along with Thor. She was one of the characters that there's there. She's a great actress, by the way. So I'm currently watching that too. And just things here and there. It's hard for me to find anything. I start something and I lose interest. Something has to really grab me for me to watch it. And several things have lost me. I give something 2 or 3 episodes to get me in there. And if it doesn't, I usually abandon it and maybe try to go back and visit it again. But that's just 3 that I could throw out there for you that I'm watching.
One thought on Little House. You know, everybody thinks of it as this kind of fun, cheery family TV show from the 70s, but there were some dark episodes there.
There were.
Some very dark
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea about the fire episode where the child and Victor French's wife in the show was killed in the fire. And it's like, it was because it was life on the prairie. It wasn't easy. And they hit on that. They really did. So, yeah.
They did. Michael Landon did a great job with that show.
He did.
For
I mean,
sure.
he was the boss. He was in charge of that show, and you could tell. And he brought, I don't know, Dave, you know this, but he brought a lot of talent into Little House on the Prairie, and even his later show called Highway to Heaven. He brought a lot of talent that worked with him on Bonanza on these shows. The guy, the guy who did the music for Bonanza did the music for Little House on the Prairie, and it's some of the production people, a lot of the directors. He was a very loyal guy that had friends in Hollywood, and he gave them jobs, and I think that's great. And he was I never heard anything bad about Michael Landon. I always liked him.
And then he blew up the set when production ended.
That's right.
Sure did.
That's right. He didn't like the show ending that way. He really didn't like the way they treated him there at the end, NBC.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Bob, you're up. What are you watching, my friend?
Yes. Well, I'm kind of with Barry. I still think the classic TV is the best. I actually found the entire Dark Shadows original series from 66 to 74, and I've been watching that. I should live so long as to get to the end of it, but I've been enjoying that. Mrs. Thrash has actually discovered the Big Bang Theory recently, and we've been watching that together a lot. To an extent, the young Sheldon, which is also good, but she really likes Big Bang. But I did try one new show. It was because Chance had done some filming on it. And it was called the Grosse Pointe Murder Society. And I love the premise. It's a murder mystery, but you don't know who the victim is. And they do that thing where they really develop the 4 main characters, and each week you find out another piece of the equation. The problem was, like old shows that rely upon a gimmick, when the gimmick wears out, you got no show. So by the time it got to the last episode of the season, I was kind of out. And then they set up with a cliffhanger for the next season. I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. I've had my fill. But I did enjoy the season 1, I must say.
Oh, good. Good news for you, Bob. You won't even be tempted with season 2. It did not get renewed.
Oh, lucky break for me.
Yeah.
That was
no trauma there.
That was always my thought of Greatest American Hero. I thought it was a charming show, but when I watched it, the one thing I didn't like about it was he never got any better at controlling the powers. Right. It became an old joke in the show, and I'm like, come on, let him at least improve the way he's doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They even have that one episode where the aliens come back and give another book.
Yeah.
And he loses it again.
Or something,
it's like Gilligan's Island.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, great. By the way, gentlemen, we should never feel bad about going back to the classics. We should never feel bad about that because, quite frankly, I find myself doing that more than anything else. One of the reasons it took me so long to get through Andor and other shows that we're watching is, truth be told, I'd probably rather throw in an episode of the old Star Trek and watch it again, or Andy Griffith or Batman or any of these shows. Leave It to Beaver. It's
a Rifleman.
The Rifleman. Oh my goodness, what a great show!
so good.
Yeah.
30 minutes. Rifleman, a 30-minute Western. You'll never see that again. And they were able to do it in 30 minutes. And it was
Yeah.
brilliantly
And
written.
it would be a deep story every time. Just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And you'd always feel good, even though, you know, there was a lot of drama, and you always felt good by the time that show ended. It was just that they had a talent for taking the person on this adventure that was full of, you know, all sorts of suspense, but at the same time you had this wonderful, we're talking about the Rifleman, this wonderful relationship between the father and the son, and
And tons of violence. Awesome.
yeah, oh yeah, tons
They
of
were
violence.
violent, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody that can cock a lever action rifle with one hand with the handle and come back up like that, like he does in the title sequence,
Wayne,
that
yeah.
got me every time. Chuck Connors was the best.
Yeah, Chuck Connors could do anything. He played multiple professional sports. He served the country. I mean, this is a man's man, right?
They don't make them like that anymore.
They do not make him like Chuck Connors anymore.
Did you guys know he showed up as the Rifleman in the 80s in one of Kenny Rogers' Gamblers movies?
Yes, I did.
Oh my
Really?
God. He showed up to save the
As
day
McCain?
there in a scene. I
Yeah.
thought it was great.
Wow.
On that particular Gambler movie, there were a number of cameos made by old-timey classic Western. I can't think of them right now, but you're right.
Yeah.
That was quite the TV movie.
Lucas McCain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even his name was cool. Lucas
Yeah.
McCain.
Oh, yeah.
Great Rifleman segment too, Pat. You did one not too long ago when it was
That's
great.
right. Thanks, buddy.
Okay. We should get to the Ask Us Anything portion of the evening, which means we should all kind of pay attention to the chat now. And I'm going to look for questions that are directed to you guys, or to myself. And let's spend the next 10, 15 minutes just answering their questions before we call it an evening. Does that sound okay, fellers?
Sounds like a plan.
The Big 10-4.
What's funny is I saw a question go by just not too long ago, which was had I interviewed Butch Patrick, and the answer is yes. He's on my Pods with Picks playlist. So check it out.
Yeah, Pat has, folks. If I don't know how many times I have to say this, I get exasperated when I say this, but it's true. Pat has a wealth of amazing interviews. You name a name, there's a pretty good chance Pat has conversed with that person and managed to get them to tell some pretty amazing stories. So yeah, I saw that question too, and wasn't ready to answer it right there. But the Butch Patrick interview is a great one.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. Very fortunate. Yeah.
All right, folks, if you're going to put a question in the chat, make sure you direct it to someone. Oh, wait, here we go. I see one to Pat.
Yep, that's cool.
Is that Shazam holding a kitten on your wall?
That is, of course. Well, what would you call him, Barry? Is that Shazam? Or is that John?
Well, back then he was Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, exactly.
And that's
John. He was
John
the
David.
second one, and he's a good friend. Barry, of course, hooked me up with Michael, and I become friends with him, and through him, I became friends with John, and we stay in touch constantly. He's just he's a cat person, and so I'm a cat person. And when last time I saw him, he said, "Hey, I got a special one for you." And so he signed that picture of him with the kitty cat. And just these people are so wonderful. Yeah. So that's what that is. Mm-hmm.
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. So here's the question from channel member Superplex. What television cancellation hurt you the most? Bob says Planet of the Apes, which, that one was a big one. I'm going to go very recent. There was a CBS sitcom called Me, Myself, and I with John LaRoquette that I loved. The CBS didn't even give a chance. They canceled it after like the 5th episode, and then they burned off the remaining episodes during the summertime. Just a wonderful, heartfelt family sitcom that I loved. Pat, Barry, do you have a cancellation that just stung?
I've got two that I can just throw out there. One more recently is a Star Trek show, Star Trek Enterprise with Scott Bakula. Now, I was a big fan of that show. It only ran for 4 years, and the previous shows, other than the original series, ran much longer than it did. But it was my second favorite Star Trek series because I loved the way that it was presented, how they were learning how to go through space, and the first captain of the Enterprise. And I just thought it was a very well done return to action and adventure type of Star Trek. And when it was canceled, I was devastated. I hated that it was canceled. And Married with Children was canceled, and they didn't even tell the cast. They just canceled the show, and they didn't even get the last episode. So I miss those wacky guys too, and I didn't like that show getting canceled either.
Yeah, it was Gotham for me. I mean, Gotham could have given us a few more seasons because the kid had finally literally turned into Batman, and you were there the whole way with that growth and that story and that acting and that freaking show. It's still it could be my favorite television show ever, Gotham. And I wish they'd have just given us one more season with him as Batman. But no, they waited right to the very end of the last episode, and it was like, what is that? And I remember the line, "That's a friend." And that was it. I was like, there's gotta be, he's gonna.
Great shows get canceled, yet crappy shows continue. It just makes
exactly.
Gotham really changed over the seasons too. I thought it became a better show. It became a more outrageous, crazy show.
Oh,
but if you're a Batman fan, it was tons of fun.
So good. So good. So good.
All right. I've got, let's go with some questions here. Not directed at any one person. Is Space 1999 better than UFO?
Yes.
I would say yes, but Space 1999 owes a little bit to UFO, though. They were thinking about making it a sequel to the show UFO. So two great Jerry Anderson shows, but I think 1999 is the better show.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to rank them out because I did love UFO so much, and
UFO
gave me nightmares. But
UFO was great, but it was more like a thriller. It was like a spy show. It was good.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I loved Space 1999. Not only did there seem to be more action, but I loved the characters. I mean,
Lando.
Barbara Bain, the chemistry with her then husband, still husband, I think, actually. Martin Landau. Martin Landau was phenomenal. He is gone. Oh, okay, but he was phenomenal. And then you have the subplot with Maya, which was great, and it was more of an adventure. And as a kid, I got more wrapped up in the adventure of it. Not knocking UFO. I used to watch it with my father when I was in preschool, and I did love it. But I got to give it to 1999.
Very much so. Yes.
Thresh Pondo, what was your favorite Glenn Larson series?
Ooh, good question. Good question. I probably will go for the easy one and go and say Battlestar Galactica.
That's my favorite one as well, but I also liked $6 Million Man, Knight Rider. I mean, there's a bunch.
Moving on with Claude Akins.
Yeah. I love that show.
I used to watch that with my grandfather. But again, I was a space buff even before Star Wars. It came out right after Star Wars. My appetite was insatiable. So, yeah, it had to be Galactica. And who didn't love Starbuck? He was the only redeeming episode in Galactica 1980 was the episode where Starbuck is doing Hell in the Pacific.
Yeah. Yeah, the Return of Starbuck. I think it's the final episode. It was fantastic.
To this day, I still think the Return of Starbuck in Galactica 1980, I think that was a filmed episode of the original show, and they just spliced it together and made it a Galactica 1980 episode.
Ooh.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's an excellent theory, because all they did was bookend the not Avatar. Avatar. The Lauren Green bookends. Right. It's really just So I think you might be right.
Yeah.
Adama.
Cindy D wants to know what our favorite 80s shows were. I think we talked about my favorite one, Naked Gun, Fellers, do you have other ones that you come to mind quickly?
Saint Elsewhere.
Star Trek:
Hill
The
Street
Next
Blues close
Generation.
second.
Star Trek TNG,
Yeah, that started in 89, right?
87.
87.
Oh, 87? Then
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
that would actually be more than Naked Gun for me. What about you, Barry?
The 80s was cool. For some reason, one show sticks out, and Denzel Washington remade it not too long ago. I loved The Equalizer with Morgan Woodward. That show just grabbed me, and I watched it. I tried to catch it every time it was on. I couldn't tape it because I didn't have a VCR at the time. But yeah, it was great. My favorite show, probably the 80s.
Yeah,
TJ Hooker, too.
that was great.
Yeah, another show that I loved was Matlock. I'm a big Andy Griffith fan, and so the original Matlock for me was tons of fun as well.
Great.
Yep. Great stuff. Yeah, that Equalizer. I'm sorry. I mean, the Queen Latifah one is fine. My wife enjoys it, and I watch it with her from time to time. But it's so different. Yeah. And I guess it's one of those things where the Equalizer movies are different too, but that original Equalizer TV show was fantastic.
He drove a Jaguar and had a Walther PPK, for God's sake. He was the greatest. He was awesome.
Yeah.
I remember there was a scene where he was lowering the gun. Okay, we're going to lower our gun. We're going to lower the gun. And he just turned it sideways and pointed it up. I'm done. Took the guy out.
Edward Woodward was a fantastic actor. He really was. He was a lot of great stuff.
Yep. John Collins, a channel member John Collins, wants to know if I will promote my eBay site and its ID so he and anyone can bid on my items. Maybe at some point in the future. I do have some things for sale on eBay, but nothing that I think would really interest folks that are here right now. So that's why I probably wouldn't want to promote it. And I saw your text last night, John, and I'm sorry I didn't reply to it. I've had a busy day today and just kind of let that one fall to the side. But if and when I have something out there that I think might be interesting to the community, I'll certainly make it available so that folks can go and look at it. Let's see, but I don't really treat eBay like a ongoing store. You know, I just occasionally put items out there. Let's see.
Put my house up there for me, Dave, if you want. Put it up there.
You don't want me to do that. You don't want me to do that.
I do want you to do that. Please, Dave, get me out of this hell. Come on.
Who wants to answer this question? Maybe, Pat, you should answer this question since we need to change topics from the trauma that's going on
I'm not going
in your place right now.
I'm not going there. Well, I certainly hope not. I really never cared for that show. Come on, it's Captain Kirk. Just with a cop suit on, it was just like, Heather Locklear was fun to look at, but it didn't move me. And so, maybe I'm not the right person to answer that question. Maybe Barry would be like, oh, but you don't realize what a great show it was. See, look, I think I gave him a heart attack, Barry.
Elizabeth, this is a big one. I'm coming to join you, honey.
Put the home view
Doesn't like TJ Hooker. What in the world? What in Sam Hill is going on here? That shocks me about as much as when I spoke with the Geek to Me Radio. James Install up from St. Louis told me he never liked Jaws, and I went, James, what's going on? So I don't know. Could they redo Hooker now? I mean, would it be able? I mean, they're doing the Naked Gun, so I guess they could remake anything they want.
They could redo it,
Yeah.
I think the draw at the time for TJ Hooker was that it had Shatner and Heather Locklear and Adrian Zmed and James. What was it? James Darren was on that show for a while.
Richard Hurd was the captain.
They were all a draw. I don't know if it, for me, if it really was. It was kind of your run-of-the-mill cop show, just with some actors that I enjoyed watching, and so I would watch it for that reason. And great theme music. I can still hear that in my head right now.
But he overacted. He overdid it.
Yeah, he's huge. He's a ham.
So the question is, yes, they could remake it if they wanted to. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's do one more question here. Question: who is your favorite voiceover actor or actress?
Oh my God.
Bob Ridgely.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Thrash and
Yeah,
I
did a
matched
video on
on the
Bob.
same guy. We matched. Thrash and I matched.
I
Robert
was
Ridgely. He was one of the best, if not my
He
favorite.
was.
Yeah.
And he was the voice of the 80s. You know what I'm saying? He was
He was.
Tarzan. He was Thundar. He was Flash Gordon.
He was, and he was in Boogie Nights too. I mean, he was
in Boogie
he was a good
Nights.
actor too. Yeah.
I'd say Paul Frees. It was his birthday yesterday, as a matter of fact.
He was amazing. He
I
was
don't
great.
think there's a
He
wrong
was-
answer here.
He was
No.
he was just so good. And this might surprise you. My favorite voiceover actress is a lady who is a dear friend of mine, Kathy Garver. She's done it
Yes.
plenty, but she is the voice of Firestar. from the
Yeah,
Spider-Man-
I'd have to
Spider-Man
throw Janet Waldo in there for my favorite female voiceover actress. She was another one that did a ton of stuff. She
Yeah.
was great.
It's tough to just name
June
one
Foray.
or two, right? Because I mean, Mel Blanc. How can you not mention Mel
Right.
Blanc when you're
He's
talking
the
about
king.
this
He's
kind
the
of
king,
work?
Yeah.
June Foray for sure has to be
Foray.
mentioned.
Yeah.
Actress, yes.
The guy that does Scooby Doo. Come on, guys.
Oh.
Neslick?
Oh, come on,
No.
come on,
Doug.
everybody. Who does
Doug.
Scooby Doo? Oh,
Doug
this is
Mes-
Frank Welker.
Don Mesnick.
Frank Welker.
No,
Frank
Don
Welker.
Butler.
I'll know it when I hear it. But
Yeah,
that-
Frank
it hasn't yet.
Welker.
Oh,
Frank
Frank Welker.
I did a
Yes,
whole
yes.
episode on this. What are you guys
Yes,
talking about?
Frank Welker. Yes.
Oh,
Who was in Laugh Tracks? I was actually thinking him, but saying
Guy or girl?
yes.
Who's
Welker,
guy?
Frank Welker, yeah.
Casey Kasem?
that's Shaggy. But he was
Yeah.
Scooby Doo. Oh my dear. Oh,
He also
this
did
is
the
gonna drive
Batman
me
cartoon.
crazy.
Too.
I thought Welker did Scooby as well,
He
This is
did.
gonna drive me
Yeah.
crazy.
didn't he?
Maybe if I
Yes, he did.
meditate
Yes,
for a
he did.
second.
Pat, it's going to drive you crazy because you're going to find out it was Frank Welker.
Yeah, that's who it is. It's Frank Welker, Pat.
Really? Woo. That's funny.
Pat will text me at 3 a.m. tonight and tell me that's right. You're right.
Yeah, well, I believe me.
Oh,
Far
and
be it for me to say you guys were wrong. No,
there is one wrong answer. Tom Cruise. That would be the
All right.
wrong answer.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, with that bit of incorrect information, Bob, why don't you tell folks about your channel a little bit?
Yes, it's Thrash Bondo Pawns. It's a nostalgia channel. I started out doing vintage sci-fi horror, my forte, but I've been moving on into more comedic areas. I do a series of the worst dad jokes of all time. I actually find myself in competition on that now. We've been doing competitions as well. I won the first round. I should have hubris and say I always will win, but I did win the first round. And of course, I do the Wretched Recaps where I humorously review old comic books. And another personal favorite of mine, the Creepy Classics, where I take a beloved song from the old days, usually very high up tempo, and I read the lyrics and let people know just how truly creepy it is if you actually know what the song's about.
Awesome stuff. And also, well, I was going to say little known fact, but I think a lot of folks are figuring this out. Bob is an awesome guest on live streams. He makes the rounds. There are so many live streams that will come up on my feed. I'll click on them, and there will be that friendly face, always sharing words of wisdom and important factoids that I need to know. Yeah.
Willie Bowen,
Pat-
Don Messick. Don Messick.
Don
Was the
Messick
original-
was
The original voice of Scooby Doo.
was he the original voice of Scooby?
Willie got it. And that's right.
That's what I said was Don Messick.
Yeah,
No.
Don Messick.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Don
That's what
Messick.
we said.
Pat, tell us about your channel.
You turkeys. This is why I love hanging out with these guys. You know, we take no prisoners, especially on each other. Holy smokes, there's Thrash Pondo and Barry King right there.
Speaking
Oh,
of guest star,
no.
And Dave.
Yeah, they just
Well, that's a
don't
good
belong together.
snapshot.
Yeah, it is.
If it
But it's
includes
also
all
got
of us.
Wesley Ure and Jerry Jewell and
Yeah.
Parker Stevenson. I loved
Yeah.
your Parker Stevenson interview, by the way. That was fantastic.
He was a tough nut to crack.
Yeah, he
like I
was,
say,
but you did it.
I did it. It's like
You did it.
do what I can. I gotta get into this guy, man. And he, he was great. He seemed a bit reluctant. Some people just,
Yeah.
I gotta do this again. But he wasn't that. He wasn't that. It was good.
Here's the thing, though. I mean, for you to visit with him for as long as you did, you just don't go out on YouTube. They're just not out there. What you accomplished with him for guys that are, I mean, talk about another Glenn Larson show. I loved the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
And, I didn't mind Baywatch either. First season that he was on there with Hasselhoff. To have you be able to spend time with him and kind of work him a little bit and get some answers, some questions that all of us fans wanted to know. It was good stuff. And that's one of the things I love about your channel.
Thanks, Dave. So that's what's there. I've got a whole list of podcasts with celebrities. And then, of course, there's my music. I used to play a little bit of guitar. That example earlier today is not an example of what I do. But I was asked to be comedic, and I can do that too. I'm an entertainer. And so that's what you got. Plus tons of nostalgic tidbits, which I am transferring over now to vertical format and taking all that which was horizontal and squishing it into a cell phone.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like it's all new.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I haven't been able to do much new stuff lately because as I was telling Dave earlier, I'm in the midst of home improvement. Don't do that, people.
A real life money pit. It's the money pit all over again. Didn't you learn anything from that classic film?
I didn't think I'd actually be living it. I really didn't, but I am. And you got to just go. You got to close your eyes and write the check, and hope it doesn't bounce. And that's been my life. So I'm
well, we wish you the best of luck, Pat. The best of luck. Our fingers are all crossed for you. If I can get everybody that's on the live stream with us tonight to think good thoughts and send good karma Pat's way.
Or great.
Yeah. Barry, you're up. Talk to us about your channel.
Wow. Well, my YouTube channel is nowhere near as big and bulky and steroided up like these other three guys. They really got the podcasting and the YouTube stuff on their side. But I have a little YouTube page that I do put stuff up there of my interest, and mostly some of my shows and some of the classic stuff that we've seen in the past and episodes of things. But I'm the one out of these fellers here that I'm actually on the radio every Saturday. I do a radio show at WBHF in Cartersville, Georgia. We're just northwest of Atlanta. And it's called BK on the Air from 10 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. And I talk about what we all talked about tonight. That could have been an episode of my radio show. I was born in the 60s, grew up in the 70s, and graduated in the early 80s. That's my generation, and everyone's familiar with that era. And you can hear it by downloading our beautiful WBHF radio app. It's so new. It still has that new app smell there. It's just great. And you can also access podcasts of my show through that app and through Spotify and other locations. If you do a search for it up there, you can see several places of it where you can find me if you miss a show. And I'm on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and like I say, YouTube. And you can email me at bkontheair@gmail.com if I say something that makes you happy or pisses you off. You can just call and tell me. You can tell me anything you want. I like hearing from everybody. And I love every one of these guys, and I love everybody over there in the chat. And I'm so glad to be here every time we do this, guys.
Yeah.
Love you.
Yeah. Hey, guys, this has been another phenomenal evening. So much fun. And I'm glad we didn't really pick a topic. I'm glad we just shot the breeze, right? And just
you did pretty good. That was nice. I like that.
Time has just flown by. And thank you to the community members who hung out in the chat and gave us questions there at the end to answer and helped us out when we needed a name. You guys are just phenomenal. Going to close this thing out tonight with a vintage commercial. I think Roger C. Carmel. Yeah, Harry Mudd himself. We'll do a vintage commercial, and then we're going to get out of here. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. I hope you all have a great week. Barry, Pat, Bob, you guys are the best. We'll talk to you all soon.
July 4th, this place was a madhouse. All these guys are running around in their cute little white wigs. But at noon, they stopped because I, Senor Nobles, was serving my burrito ranchero platter. A big tortilla filled with beef topped with my special sauce served with beans and salad. I said whoever eats the most signs his name the biggest. You can still see a little sauce by John Hancock's name.
Try the legendary burrito ranchero of Senor Noggles.
This is where the trouble started. Santa Ana was there, Davy Crocker was here. I, Senor Noggles, was cooking my famous fajitas.
A handmade tortilla filled with marinated sirloin, steak and onions, fresh tomatoes and scallions.
Everybody loved them. Santa Ana wants them all. Davy Crocker wants them all. Next thing, they're shooting. Believe me, I remember the Alamo.
Taste the legendary fajitas of Senor Noggles.
You are special. Click on that thumbnail cause it's time to go. Dave's got the classics, let the memories flow. TV shows and movies that we all hold so dear. On his YouTube channel he's keeping memories near. Dave Sundstrom, bringing back the good stuff, oh yeah.